The Montreal Canadiens walk away from this weekend with 2 wins. There's some special teams approaches that we have to talk about, as well as defensive strategy we have to talk about, and who are some notable players from their performances after this weekend's success. Hi there, I'm Conor Tomalty. Welcome back to another episode of Game On Montreal, reminding you guys to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and add the Game Over Network to your homepage for all the Montreal and hockey content that you can handle. We have to get into the headlines, but once again, we'll just talk about today's sponsor, and that's, once again, Hyperdrive Hockey. Hyperdrive Hockey is a fantastic show here on the Game Over Network, but you can also find it on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. It's hosted by Maxime Van Hoot and Daphne Valberf, with producer Kevin Larimer. These are just some incredible, hardworking people that have been in the French industry for a long time here in Quebec, and now transitioned to English media here with the Game Over Network, and to sort of get rid of that language barrier that we've seen that sort of holds and restricts a lot of French media workers into just French media. These are some people who are extremely talented that provide discourse and podcast episodes that talk about the world of hockey, not just exclusively the NHL, but also the PWHL, European hockey, and just hockey at large. So anything that's talked about and is important will be discussed on that show. And you can find them, once again, either wherever you get your podcast, but specifically also on the Game Over Network. So make sure that you tune in, subscribe, and just give them a listen, because these are just incredible, insightful people. So the Montreal Canadiens were licking their wounds on Friday because they were, dealing with the 7-2 loss against the New York Rangers, and headed into the weekend looking for some hard-fought battles. And hard-fought battles they had. I should say, with a 5-2 win over the St. Louis Blues on Saturday, and then following that up with a 4-3 win over the Philadelphia Flyers on Sunday. And there's some things to note. Number one, I think, is just the special team success that we've seen all season, but also was there again this weekend with the Canadiens, and that's because their penalty kill is, I believe, third best in the NHL, I believe at 90.3%, something along the lines there. And their power play success, that we've seen them score 8 goals in 9 games so far, and they have a 25.8% effectiveness on the power play. And a lot of that success has to go to Martin St. Louis, but as well as just like who you see on those top lines. With Gouli down, you've seen Matheson obviously on that top power play line. Not that Gouli was, hogging it by any means, but it's been some successful special teams. Alex Burrows had that, sort of was tasked with dealing with that last year for the team. And with him taking a different position with the team, with the organization, I should say, this year, just spend more time with his family, Martin St. Louis has taken over the power play duties, and it's already come to fruition of like seeing that success again with the stats that we've mentioned, but it's led to what has contributed to the success for the team. They haven't played complete games in a lot of matchups this year, but their power play and just special teams all around has been successful for them, and that's a huge advantage and a huge step up when we talk about results from year after year. The Canadiens having that success on special teams is definitely going to heighten what they bring to the table, and going to lead to a bit more success. Of course, when you get some more key pieces back, notably like Laine, Juraj Slafkovsky when he returns, but we'll get into injuries in a sec. We should talk about as well the different defensive approach. There was an interesting article today by Arpon Bosco of The Athletic that talked about that. And, Martin St. Louis had a lot of criticism coming into this weekend. He silenced a lot of those people, obviously, with the 2 wins, but he was asked about maybe simplifying the approach defensively, and said that it wasn't, something on the table. It was that, the players need to be able to buy in and just perform a bit better. He didn't say that, but he was talking about there are certain players that you want a better version of. Jack-Eye, I think, was the name that he threw out there, and there were a couple people on Twitter who weren't happy with the fact that he was calling out Jack-Eye, but he wasn't. He was merely just saying, like, we'd like a better version from him. And Jack-Eye spoke about the defensive approach. He said, yeah, we've had a simplified D-zone approach. And while it's just, like, you're just seeing tighter play from them all around. I think outside of the sequence with Philadelphia where the consecutive sequences in the third period where they were able to narrow the gap from 4-1 to 4-3. There were some times where there's an open man in front of the slot. I think specifically on that third goal that was scored by Philadelphia, like Primo was left to fend for himself with a bit of puck watching from his D-man in front of him. But outside of that, like, you're seeing a lot more of a tighter play as well. Like when we see more of the guys coming back in the sense of Gooley, of Justin Barron, we might see a bit more of an approach that, I think last night Andrew Berkshire was talking about Logan Mailloux and how he fits into the system. He's just not ready to be in the NHL as a defenseman yet. I don't disagree with that. I do think that Logan Mailloux has a huge upside, and offensively he is going to provide some really nice offense on the blue line. But right now, yeah, I'd have to agree. He doesn't really seem like he's prepared yet for the NHL. But that being said, Jack had a much better game this weekend. And with some injuries coming back, which we'll speak on right now, Slafkovsky's going to be evaluated this week. Gooley and Barron have been practicing. They were still listed as day-to-day. But you should see them hopefully sometime this week back in the lineup. At least that's what I'm hoping for. We'll also really quickly just talk about some notable performances over the weekend. Cole Caulfield, once again, he has scored 8 goals on the year. He is third, I believe, in goals scored in the NHL. Nick Suzuki, who had a sort of a slow start to the start of the season. Not a lot of people were talking about him, but it wasn't always good criticisms. It's what's he doing when he's off the puck? How is he, helping produce? Well, he's back to 11 points in 9 games, so he's scoring over a point per game. And Kirby Dach scored on Saturday. He had his first goal since March 2023, and you can definitely see him more confident out there on the ice, playing with Suzuki and Caulfield. When Slafkovsky comes back, you're going to probably see, I'd anticipate Dach going back to the second line, just in the sense of like he was brought to Montreal to be a center. And I think that's what they see is him playing center. But he's been really good with Caulfield and Suzuki, and their friendship and chemistry you just see not just in practice when they're scoring a goal and doing an emphatic celebration together, but definitely on the ice as well. That chemistry is there, and having the slick playmakers of Suzuki and Suzuki and Dach with somebody like Caulfield, needing that guy that's also a bona fide sniper. Laine's still out, as for example, who's probably the only other person on that team who you could put into that category. You're going to see what happens when Slafkovsky comes back. And that's going to do it for today's video. So once again, everybody, just a reminder to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, add the Game Over Network to your homepage for all the Montreal and hockey content that you can handle. We're going to talk tomorrow about the Kraken, who are going to be playing the Canadiens tomorrow night. But for today, I'll just say I'm Conor Tomalty saying thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.